Pixar's made a lot of sequels this decade. We've had a few sequels for Cars, we've had a prequel to Monsters Inc., we've had a sequel to Finding Nemo, and now it's The Incredibles' turn, with Incredibles 2. I, like a lot of people, was really excited about this movie. I love the original Incredibles. It's one of my all-time favorite Pixar movies, maybe even in top 3. So I was really looking forward to seeing how this movie would turn out. At the same time though, I was a little worried given Pixar's track records of sequels, but I can safely say that after watching this movie, I think it was a worthy follow-up to the original. Now, I didn't love it as much as the original, but I did still have a lot of fun with it. The film takes place literally where the first film ends, where the Incredibles are fighting the Underminer, but superheroes are still illegal, and the Incredibles are worried that they may have to go back into hiding. However, an eccentric man named Winston is a big fan of superheroes, and he plans to make superheroes legal again by filming Elastigirl going on a quest to defeat the villain known as Screenslaver, while Mr. Incredible is left home to watch the kids while discovering that Jack is starting to form his new superpowers. Like in the first movie, I found the characters to be extremely likable, and the one thing I like that this movie does that the first movie kind of missed was that it has a much bigger focus on the family. The first one was more focused on Mr. Incredible and his midlife crisis, but this one focuses on the entire family. Yeah, Elastigirl is in the A plot, but the B plot has plenty of time as well. We get to see the problems that the kids are having, we have focus on Jack with his powers, and we see Mr. Incredible struggling to be a good father. I saw some people take issue that this movie distracts us with all of these pointless scenes, but we have to remember that The Incredibles isn't just a superhero movie. Even the first film was like that. It's allowed to focus on real family drama, and I thought this movie handled that aspect really well. And even when we're not focusing on the family, the stuff with Elastigirl is so much fun. The action scenes, while they are a little faster than in the original, are still so much fun. I love seeing her doing all these cool things. There's a scene where she chases after a train and her motorbike can detach and she can stretch all over it. It's so much damn fun. And that's one thing I also love about this movie. The animation is gorgeous. It's definitely a step up from the original, and you can tell, given how the characters look slightly more polished and the action is way faster, it definitely looks better than the original, and it really showed. This movie is also really funny. In fact, I'd argue maybe even funnier than the first movie. There are so many gags and one-liners in this movie that I was in stitches. There was also a lot of great scenes with Jack too. There's really funny scenes involving Edna, and there's a scene where he fights a raccoon, and it had me in so many stitches. I was laughing so hard, I think the whole theater kind of heard me. It's actually one of the few sequences where I love seeing the baby in the movie, but as I said at the start of this video, I don't quite like this movie as much as the first movie, and there are a couple of reasons why. This first problem may not be much of a problem to you guys, but when I first saw this movie, I had some serious issue with its epilepsy. Now, you may not notice it today, because the movie actually edited out these problems, but when the movie first came out, there were a lot of scenes involving the Screenslaver with flashing images, and it was really distorting for me. It almost gave me a migraine from watching it. I have serious problems with this. Not seizure problems, but I always get migraines whenever I see flashing images during a movie, especially since it was in the big screen with the lights turned off. It was not helping me at all, and I had to cover my eyes while I was watching it. It was not a pleasant time for me. I mean, did Pixar seriously not think that something like this was going to happen? There were even reports that people got seizures during this movie. How did they not think something like this was going to happen? As much as I liked seeing the inclusion of new superheroes in this movie, I thought they were really underused. Aside from a new character named Void, who's kind of an Elastigirl eccentric, the other superheroes don't really get much screen time or development. Yeah, they look cool, their powers are cool, but they don't get much development. I hope we get a spin-off with these guys, because I think they had potential. But my biggest issue with this movie, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this, is the villain. We know who it's going to be. As soon as the character shows up, the villain wants to keep superheroes illegal, which makes no sense because superheroes are already illegal to begin with. And if this character wanted superheroes to be illegal from the start, then why was this character having any input when Elastigirl was actually being a good role model for superheroes? It makes no sense. It's amazing amazing how often Disney and Pixar try to make their villains less predictable and end up making them more predictable. On the whole though, I really enjoyed Incredibles 2. I can definitely see it as one of Pixar's best sequels that's not a Toy Story movie. I enjoy the characters, I love the action, the animation, and the comedy was great. Yeah, it didn't have a very good villain, which was a shame because the first film had an amazing villain, but I thought the rest of the film more than made up for it. Yeah, it has a few problems, but that doesn't stop this movie from simply being... Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.